What's up, everybody? It's Friday. Yeah, let's celebrate Friday. All right. Market new all-time high in the Dow Jones and the SPOOs. The SPOOs are the S&Ps. That's what we used to call them as floor traders, the SPOOs. I'm going to talk about something here, and I think probably at least half of you are going to disagree with me, but that's okay. I'm just putting it out there up front. So today, in today's jobs report, which was, I guess, a big disappointment, it was 266,000 payrolls. The expectation was something like 980, almost a million, right? So it was way down. Actually, that 266 number in normal times, like non-pandemic and non-bouncing back from a pandemic, that would have been a good payroll number. But, you know, we have to look at what the forecast, and it was a huge miss. Now, the narrative behind this, at least partially, is that, hey, the government's giving people all this money, and so it's de-incentivizing them from going back to work in their probably low-paying jobs. And I could understand that narrative, all right? Actually, I would also add that prior to the pandemic, we were already seeing the beginnings of a labor shortage. Like, a lot of people were at retirement age. Look, I'm a baby boomer. I'm 64. Like, we are the bulge generation, and a lot of us are starting to retire, so we're coming out of the workforce. So there was already a developing labor shortage. It had nothing to do with government stimulus or, you know, checks being sent out or anything like that. But I could understand this, and maybe it is somewhat of a factor. Just as an aside, I'll just mention that both South Carolina and Montana have stopped unemployment benefits to people. These are federally funded unemployment benefits. South Carolina and Montana have stopped these benefits, saying that it's a disincentive for people to go back to work. I happen to think, this is my personal view, I happen to think that's a cruel way to incentivize people to go back to low-paying jobs. But anyway, here's what I want to say about the situation. It really goes back, you know, like 40 years when we got into this whole trickle-down supply-side neoliberal economics, where policy over the last 5 decades, has really been focused on limiting or reducing wages and boosting profits and the wealth at the very top. Okay, we know this. I mean, it's clear in every single statistic that you can look at. Had we not had this policy over the last 40 years, in other words, if wages had kept up with the growth in inflation and profits, and the growth in the economy. I mean, if you look at labor's share of GDP, in other words, how much does labor get from total output in the economy? I mean, they work for that, right? They work to produce that. Their share has been going down for over 40 years. So it has not kept up. So now what has happened as a result of the fiscal stimulus and the stimulus checks and money being sent to people, unemployment benefits and all these other things, is that it is a big disruption, okay? You have a system that has been in place for over 40 years. Businesses have been able to tap into low-cost labor, and it's been very difficult for labor to raise their wages. Like, labor unions, you know, practically don't exist anymore. Very few compared to how many we had in the 60s and the 70s. So now you have this unprecedented fiscal stimulus, checks going out to people. It's very, very disruptive. It's good for people now who are getting these checks, okay? They're happy to get them. Maybe they don't have to go back to work right away, but it's bad for businesses that have relied on these workers for a long time. Now, the light at the end of the tunnel, I think, is that over time, and I don't think it's going to take all that long, but over time, the disruptive element will fade away, and you will get more of a convergence, not a big convergence, but at least a convergence in like corporate profits, business profits, and what people are earning, to where the additional income that people have from now government fiscal policy focused on them will result in higher sales, okay? And remember, what are business profits? Business profits are gross sales minus cost. Right now their cost is, going up, at least because, they can't find the labor, or the labor is more expensive. But as people have more money to spend, and we see this like in retail sales, we see, I've been talking about personal savings at 6 trillion. As that money flows back into the economy, gross sales will rise. If companies have to pay more to entice people back into the workforce and off the government, dole, so to speak, that's going to happen, and things will establish a new equilibrium. So right now, and if you're a business owner, and I know people, and they've been telling me, Mike, this is terrible, this is so hard for us, I can't find workers. Look, I totally understand that. And I empathize with you. And, there's nothing I could say or point to in the short term, I think, that's going to alleviate that. But it will adjust, and it will find a new equilibrium level. And I have to add, I think this was necessary, because you can't go on for decades and decades and generations squeezing, the labor share of what they produce. I mean, you can't. It just creates too much societal tension. And we're seeing that. A lot of the things we're seeing now in terms of unrest and political tension and all that, it stems from this. It stems from people being frustrated and being angry and being upset and feeling like they've been left out of, the spoils, so to speak, the product of their hard work. Everyone will be okay. Just got to give it some time. This is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. And just on that note, I will add, I saw another one of these, funny headlines from the media where they really don't understand stuff. It's very unsophisticated. They're just like, why is the market going up when we had such a bad job number? As if, like, I've been doing this a long time. And I wish it was so easy that all we had to do was sit back and look at a number, and then everybody could do what that number says and we all make a ton of money. It doesn't work like that, okay? The market's going up because we have unprecedented fiscal stimulus. I mean, I say this in every single video that I do. Has nothing to do with the Fed, has nothing to do with interest rates. It has everything to do with fiscal. Anyway, that's my 2 cents for today. Maybe more than 2 cents, maybe 5 cents. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'll try to put up some videos over the weekend. And don't forget, go to my website, pitbulleconomics.com. Sign up for a 30-day free trial of MMT Trader. And leave your comments. I'm very interested to hear what you have to say on this. And don't forget, subscribe to my channel. Thanks, everybody. Bye.